This is not the story of Mr. Riverstone. It's the story of a small laneway behind a small main street in a small town at the base of a volcano. And in the laneway there are a number of doors. And if, once upon a time, you opened one of those doors on any 6 nights of the week, you would open a door into a dark room. Five chairs, 5 spotlights on a black plinth, a mirrored wall lined with bottles, and Mr. Riverstone. He mixed classic drinks, a vodka lime and soda with fresh lime, a martini, a screwdriver, beer in a bottle. His hair was black and slicked, lacquered. He wore a waistcoat and a bow tie, a white shirt, black trousers. Sometimes, late in the night, he would pull out a long cigarette holder, place a cigarette into it, and smoke. This is not the story of Mr. Riverstone. Once, or more than once, foreigners came to the town. One of them took a shine to Mr. Riverstone. She said that they should go on a picnic at night to the lake. It was a long, long way, and Mr. Riverstone became tired. She kissed him, and then he drove her home. When it was her birthday, her friends planned a party in Mr. Riverstone's place. He bought her a magnum of champagne, but the guests said that it tasted bitter and made them burp. He bought her a huge bunch of apricot roses. She was embarrassed and dropped the bouquet and snapped the flowers, some of them, not all. And he bought her a diamond, a tiny little diamond. She was too young to know that the smaller the diamond, the more likely it was to be real. He bought her tickets to see a famous guitarist in the capital city, as she said she had to work and that she didn't like the guitarist. So he went alone. He had one night off a week, and on that night he drove her many miles to a whiskey bar, but she was hungover and ordered vodka grapefruit just to begin with. One afternoon he visited her house. She had just come from the hairdresser. Her long, dark hair had been bleached red. It shone in the sun. She was wearing a white dress. He said she was very beautiful. After a time, she became distracted. She said that they needed to break up, that they weren't going to marry, that they couldn't understand each other. He went to the place where she was and sat at the bar and drank until he was sick. Eventually, she left town. Many years later, maybe 15 years later, she returned. Mr. Riverstone wasn't behind the same door. He was in a smaller street, behind a smaller door, in a bar that wasn't as black. It was brown. The smooth, dark surfaces had been replaced. Stacks of newspapers, the television in the corner with horses, curiosities, bottles, less mirrors, no spotlights. Time had passed. Years had passed. His enamelled black hair was streaked with grey, and one eye was glazed. He took out his cigarette holder and placed a cigarette into it and smoked. She remembered why, and he remembered why. The friend she was with felt the walls closing in on them. They stayed for one drink and made to leave. He seemed surprised. Many years after that, she spoke to someone who had known him. He had become sicker and sicker, unable to work, blinded in both eyes. Her friend remembered him fondly, even at his final hour. Mr. Riverstone had gone and found a fresh fish and brought it back to her friend and carefully cooked the fresh fish for him.